1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is part 8. This is part 8. Okay, continue part 8 here. Yeah, I think I might go. I think I'll try to zoom this in on me a little bit here. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, I'll continue this now. All right. Lot lizard, Sully asked, as if taken back. Believe me, you don't look like a lot lizard at all, but it will get back to my company that I picked one up if the cops give me a third degree after finding out my headlight is out. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because of the guns? Asked Sally. Right. The guns, said Daniel as if in thought. He looked at the gun Sally had in her hand and said, That's a nice gun you have. Are you trying to fight the system yourself? Sally looked up, then she looked down. She then said, This is my boyfriend's gun. It was in the glove compartment of his car I crashed this night. You see, I was trying to escape from him. He wouldn't let me drive my car, so I took his car instead. In the process, I found his gun. Daniel then said, Well, you might as well buckle up and get yourself comfortable. However, trucker seats aren't the most comfortable things to sit in. If you want, I'll move my food and other stuff off the lower bunk so you can stretch out. Are you hungry? There's trail mix and homemade beef jerky. But I want to warn you on the jerk. I want to warn you on the jerky. It's pretty damn salty. I'm pretty new to jerky making, and unfortunately, it shows with the taste. Sally looked in, looked in the back of the cab with her boyfriend's gun by her side. She looked at the stuff that was on the bed she might actually try to sleep on in a few hours. Besides food, water, and clothes, she noticed a bunch of CDs and paper plates that were stacked up on each other and appeared to be spray painted gold. One of them, she noticed, had writing on it that looked like swords and snakes. That doesn't look like Japanese, said Sally. No, it's not. It's actually Arabic. Sally found a can of marbles with only a few marbles rattling around in it. You play with marbles? She asked. Daniel smiled and said, If I told you what I use marbles for, you'd probably think I lost more than what is left in that can. Truckers aren't known for being artists. You're an artist? Daniel looked at the snow quickly building up and said, It's probably unfortunate, but I'm actually more of an artist than I am a trucker. Feeling concerned with the pouring snow, Daniel said, Gad, we better get out of here, or I'll have to put on chains. Have you put on chains on your rig before? Asked Ellie. Daniel looked down and shook his head from side to side. No, I haven't. Not even on my car when I had one. Well, I'll be back soon. I've got to do an inspection. When Daniel got out of the cab, Sally scanned about the inside of the truck to see if she could find the guns Daniel talked about. As she looked about, Daniel was out treating the inspection of the truck like he did. It was called the pre-trip inspection by mostly starting on the driver's side of his truck. But being that it was now night, Daniel used a flashlight, making it so he could find the damage inflicted on his truck earlier that night. Daniel noticed a large scrape on the trailer, along with fresh dents. When he got to the back, he noticed that the back of the trailer actually seemed in pretty good shape from taking such violent rams. The metal that held the license plate was bent under a bit, and one of the trailer tires was flat. Man, what kind of caliber do they use? He wondered to himself. Daniel noticed on another tire that there was some rubber missing, as if it had been shot off. There was also some bullet holes in the doors of the trailer. Being that it was cold out, Daniel felt there was no problem with the potatoes inside. Definitely a DOT fail, Daniel sighed. When Daniel made it to the front of his truck, he noticed that the light was crushed out to the point where replacing it probably wouldn't work. Seeing such damage made Daniel mutter, maybe I can get back into science under an alias? From the cab, Sally looked at Daniel standing at the broken headlight and noticed that he seemed to be praying. He then started walking and climbed back into the truck. Sally looked concerned when she noticed that Daniel didn't seem to be very spry and happy as he was before the inspection. Did you find something wrong about your truck? Daniel put the big rig in gear and said, looks like I've got more than just a headlight to worry about. Well, I'll leave it up to God here if I can. I'll leave it up to God here if I get pulled over by a bear. As Daniel put his truck in gear, he seemed bothered as he tried to think of other things to keep his mind off his predicament. He asked Sally for what brought her out into this stretch of Mars Road. Mars Road, asked Sally. Well, Mars is my name for Nevada, said Daniel. As a matter of fact, I name all the states I go into after planets, real and fictional. But to me, the name Mars really seems to fit Nevada. With that, Sally said she made a bad mistake in moving in with a guy when she lost her job. A guy who seemed really great at first, but more and more seemed to be a frustrated cult leader. Frustrated cult leader? Yes, I call him a frustrated cult leader because I think if he had 50 more IQ points, he'd be a regular cult leader. What kind of cult leader? Asked Daniel. A Christian cult leader. One who is really good at throwing guilt trips on you and trying to control you, or threatening you with violence if you don't jump to his beck and call. As Sully went on and on, Daniel seemed to not be listening, but he was. Daniel then asked, "So you moved in with this guy to be my roommate? I couldn't afford the place I was staying at, and I thought he could be a good roommate. But when I moved in with him, he changed, or his true colors started showing. Take your pick. He started treating me like he was a jealous husband, becoming incredibly controlling. When he wouldn't let me leave by disabling my car and acting crazier than usual. Well, it was then that I tried to make my escape. I thought he was going to kill me." Daniel just didn't just want to go to the police in his car? Asked Daniel. I just wanted to get as far away from him in Idaho as I could. I guess you could say that I went a bit crazy myself. Besides, the only thing Twin Falls has going for it is that big crack in the ground. As Sally went on and on, Daniel thought he could see her point of view. He refrained preaching to her of what he felt she did wrong because he felt that what he was going through was far worse and possibly very stupid. That it was his fault as well. He felt he had no stone to throw at her at all. We do stupid things sometimes, said Daniel. Do you think what I did was stupid? Asked Sally. Well, said Daniel, you haven't given me enough details for me to judge. Besides, what's done is done. When he pulled his hand away from the stick shift after putting the truck in gear, Sally laughed. She then swore. What happened? Asked Daniel. You want to know something really stupid? She asked. Go for it, said Daniel. In my desperation to get out of here, I forgot to take along my pen. Must have been a special pen, said Daniel. Was it gold-plated with diamonds or something? No, said Sally. It was actually one of those old pens with a flash drive in it. A flash drive? Asked Daniel. You had a pen and a flash in a flash drive. Yeah, and it had my diary on it. If my boyfriend finds it and plays it, well, I really don't think he'll want to see me again. Pretty rough stuff you said about him, true. Pretty rough stuff you said about him, true? Asked Daniel. Just the truth, said Daniel. Just the truth, said Sally, looking scared. Daniel thought a bit, then said, a flash drive and a pen. I bet it's better to access that than where I have my special flash drive. Really, what's special about it? Asked Sally with wide eyes. Daniel kept one hand on the wheel while grabbing at something yellow and chubby that was tucked away in the lower shelf of near the beverage holders. Daniel started saying in a baby voice, "Pika pika, pika bee." Daniel pulled out a small Pikachu doll and started waving it in the air near Sally. Can you say "Pika bee" and "Pika"? Sally looked kind of scared at how he was acting. Asked, "What? Are you crazy?" Daniel then said to Pikachu, and he tossed the Pikachu doll at her. Pikachu? A trucker with a Pikachu doll? Sully asked, picking, picking up the doll. Big beast, Daniel said, looking straight ahead at the snowy road. Yeah, a trucker with a Pikachu doll. I used to have it located on the shelf up there until I started collection of bugs and didn't want them crushed by a rolling Pikachu doll. Now I have it down here. You've got a bug collection also? Asked Sally, a bit taken back. Daniel kind of laughed and said, "Oh, you wouldn't believe the kind of critters I've collected off my radiator over the summer in my travels through Virginia and especially Florida. I'd peel off the biggest dragonflies and prettiest butterflies. I found them so cool and interesting that it seemed like a crime to just throw them away, as if it would be like, well, throwing away the art of God. So they are up there if you want to see them. It's up there that I used to keep my Pikachu doll. I bet you think I have that doll because I'm Japanese, true? Is that why? Asked Sally. Daniel smiled and said, yeah, actually, no. Hey, you brought it up. You brought up your pin you worried about with the flash drive. Well, the Pikachu. Oh, I gotta stop it here.